Health Podcast, where we bridge the gap between wellness, mindset, and empowered living. I'm your host, Kim Larson, founder of LarsonHealthWeightLoss.com. And today's episode is going to leave you inspired, moved, and ready to take your own healing to the next level. Our guest today is someone whose story embodies transformation in every sense of the word. Geeta Sidhu-Robb is an award-winning entrepreneur, health coach, nutrition expert, author, and the powerhouse founder of Nosh Detox, one of UK's first home-delivered health food and juice programs. But her success wasn't born with ease. It was born from survival. In the early 2000s, Geeta went from living in luxury, private jets, Ferraris, and a Chelsea mansion to losing everything. Bankruptcy, homelessness, divorce, she hit rock bottom. But instead of giving up, she turned that pain into purpose and rebuilt her life, this time with healing and health at the center. Geeta's mission is clear. Sorry, Geeta. To help people feel better in their bodies and more powerful in their lives. Through Nosh Detox and her work as a coach and speaker, she's guided thousands of clients toward wellness, and today she's here to share her story with us. Geeta, welcome to the Larson Health Podcast. We're honored to have you here.
Thank you so much, Kim. I'm really glad to be here.
So, Geeta, tell me your story. The story it's so powerful, right? Take us back to that moment when your world changed. What happened?
We had built this, we were very young. We got and three babies under the age of 7, and the last was a year old. And we had built this very large, very good business very quickly. I was a lawyer, and my ex-husband brought in the deals, and I would kind of land them and tie them up, and he started to, I think it was a lot of success very quickly. So he started to drink very much. And I think when you look back, you're like, well, he kind of always drank, but you sort of don't clock that, because you're both kind of living. And then when I got pregnant and stopped drinking, it was more apparent, but then it was too late because I was pregnant.
Yeah.
And one day my son woke up, and it was just living in that house, which was this beautiful 8-bedroom house with our largest private swimming pool in London at the time, and the Ferrari and the Bentley outside the house. It was 8 bedrooms, 8 bathrooms. That's a lot in London. In central London, that's a lot. It's not like America. It's like, imagine being in Manhattan with that. That's what it's like. And it would just depend where he was. And he would come home, if he came home drunk, he would pick up things from the walls and throw them and crash them and stamp on art, priceless art,
Wow.
or wake up the children and go, get out of my house, and you're not welcome here. And at like 3 a.m, you're having to deal with this shit. And I remember him coming home one day, and I was pregnant with the youngest, and I wanted to hide because I was afraid of him. And so I went and I hid in a bathroom, the children's bathroom, which didn't have a window. And I had the door closed. And I remember just standing there in the pitch dark. I must have been 31, wow. And he was standing outside, and you could hear him breathing, like this. And you're in there thinking, please don't open the door, please don't open the door, please don't open the door. And it was pitch dark, because if he opens the door, so he can't see me. And he was looking for me,
Yeah.
And I remember the day after that, my son said to me in the morning, he said, I think we need to leave before he really hurts us. And I was like, yeah, because you can't quite ignore that.
Right.
You can ignore yourself, but how do you ignore a 7-year-old going, I think we might die?
Yeah.
So we got up and we walked out, and I walked around the corner to my mother's house. And while I was telling the school, we're not coming in, can you change the nappy? Do you need juice and sippy cup and this stuff? Then those 4 or 5 hours, he emptied all of our bank accounts.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and moved all the money where I couldn't find it. And I really tried to find it. And my mother was like, well, tough, you better go back. Your places with your husband, and don't think you can stay here. And I was like, whoa, like,
wow.
So completely alone. And I was like, wow. So I walked down to the shops because I kind of didn't want to cry in front of the kids. So I was like, I walked to the shops and I was like counting, and I had jewelry and like £200 in my handbag because that was my throwaway money type
Right.
thing. And I went into the supermarket to buy stuff for food, and I remember card after card declined, and then, when they cut them up in front of you,
Wow.
and I was like, okay. And then as I was walking out, and a friend, you just have to believe in God, don't you? And a friend walked past and said, how are you? And I remember just crying in the middle of the street, not far from here. And I was like, this happened. She went, oh my God. She goes, no, I have space, come and stay with me. And I was like, oh, but she goes, no, come stay with me. And she was so cool. She was like, do you have money for a taxi? And I was like, this is what I have. It's all the money I have. And then we went there. And we kind of more or less had the clothes we were standing up in. And I went and I sold my jewelry that afternoon and took, whatever I could.
Yeah.
And we basically had about £14 a day to live off. And so that's what we did.
How hard. So you went from an unimaginable wealth to unimaginable hardship.
Well, one day I was thinking, should I change the upholstery on the plane? It's looking a little tired. I think I'll walk because I can't make bus fare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what did that season of loss teach you about strength and identity?
I found out that I'm very bloody minded, it turns out. Who knew? I found out that I have some very distinct values for which I credit my upbringing. And my religion, because I'm Sikh. And so we have I love my religion. It's super cool. It's like, there's one God, be nice to everyone. Don't be an asshole, pray, and let's get on with it. Be grateful.
Yeah.
And, it's kind of that. It's like in a nutshell. And I was brought up, but it's a history of having to fight for our religion type thing. And I don't like unfairness. And I remember just struggling through this and thinking, God, I didn't know how to cope. Like, you can't buy a pair of shoes on £14.
Right.
You cannot. And then you can't eat as well, which you're trying to do. And then I got bankrupted because the office that he leased was in my name. We leased was in my name, and he didn't pay the rent. So then they took me to court for the money. And obviously I had none.
Right.
And so I couldn't go to work as a lawyer because I was a bankrupt now. And there isn't much.
Oh, you're kidding.
There's not much call for bankrupt corporate lawyers. And I was like, well, got to work out how to live. And so I worked out that, you do need, there is a real privilege in being absolutely poor.
Yeah.
Which is that you learn everything about yourself and everyone around you.
So true.
So, and there is a real privilege in that. And so I was like, okay.
Your true friends are,
I had almost none because I didn't have any money right now.
Right.
So,
but you find out who your true friends are because you don't have money, right?
Completely. And I remember there is nothing more helpless than being pretty, poor, a mother, and homeless. There's nothing more helpless than that. And you kind of have to work out what you're going to sell. And I had made the decision for me that I was not going to sell my body in any way, whether in marriage or in whatever.
Yes.
But that was my decision. And I was like, oh, I'm not doing that. So what else can I do? So then I sold my brain, and I sold my ability and my charm and my communication skills and that. So I just learned all of those things. I learned that I was, it also taught me that I was the same person before as I was after.
Yes.
And that was very interesting, that I didn't need to change, because we grew up, my family was very wealthy. So it wasn't like the money had changed me. And then it was interesting. I was like, well, the poverty changed me. And in a way, no, like I'm never again going to give anyone access to my bank account.
Yes.
But, apart from that.
Always have your own bank account. Yes. Even to this day, I still have my own bank account. I've been married for 9 years, or been together with him for 9 years, married 7.
But I didn't grow up like that. I grew up where you kind of put everything together and anyway. So
I did too.
Yeah, but now we know so much more, right? Like,
yes, we just know so much more. Yeah.
This happened 21 years ago. We didn't know.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, the same thing happened to me in my 20s. I was married briefly, and he took me for all I was worth. He emptied out my bank accounts. He maxed out my credit cards. So
Oh, babe,
I understand where you're coming from. At least I was still
I'm
working
sorry.
3 jobs, and I didn't have children to worry about. So
But
it
you
was
live in
much
a
easier for me than you.
yes. Well, I think I always say this, that I think what happened to me was not unusual. It happens to millions and millions, your proof,
Yes.
millions of women friggin' every day. And I
Yeah.
know this because my social media is full of it. What was unusual, I would say, about me is that I decided that that was the beginning of another story, not the end of a story. I decided that was
Yes.
unacceptable behavior. I decided that my children were entitled to be, what I wanted was in my brain that when my children hung out with their cousins and our family and whoever, they should not feel less than.
Right.
Which mean they needed the right education, they needed they had to come from the right background, their breeding had to be right, and all of
Yes.
those things. And for other people, that might not have been relevant. For me, it was wildly relevant. And then God bless my ex, because he came by one day and he said, I said, at least give me school fees. It's our children. And he came back and he said, if you just came back, I would make this all go away. And I remember thinking, wow, you are a first class asshole. And
Yes.
I am never A, going to go back to you, and B, give up private school fees. So then that became a whole drama because it was so expensive.
Yes.
So, yeah. But we're here.
Yeah, exactly. So how did you find the willpower to rebuild, not just financially, but emotionally and spiritually?
I think, to be honest with you, I didn't rebuild emotionally for a very long time. I mean, I look back now and I swear I think the emotional rebuilding is probably about 5 years old. I
Okay.
honestly think I did everything I could just to survive, and I was wondering about this yesterday, and I was like wondering, was I a nice person in those days? I don't even know if I was, because I was so poverty. Poverty is a leveler, and I don't have time to be nice to you. I'm poor. Give me what I want and do what I need and get out of my way.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
we were so poor. I would count the children in the morning. I would count them out in the morning and count them back in at night, just to make sure.
Still,
Just
to
to make
make
sure.
sure you still had them all.
I was
That's
like, let's
hilarious.
not lose anymore. I've lost everything. It's like falling off the face of the earth.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you suddenly realize how much you don't matter. And that was interesting because I mattered.
But you do matter.
No, you don't. Because my mother was like, you'll matter if you go back to him because then you'll do what I want. He said, you'll matter if you come back to me because that's what I want. I did not matter.
You mattered for your children, you did.
That was it. So I was like, okay, I'm going to look after you and we're going to keep going and we're going to do what we're going to do, and that was it. And so, yeah, I mean, it was interesting. I
Yeah,
don't think I did
exactly.
any emotional healing till quite recently. I think I just got on with it, and I kept thinking every day was like, how do I make more money? And there were just days, oh my God, there were just days where I was like, I could literally just sleep with you, and that would be rent for the year, school fees for the year, because that was the crowd I hung out in, right? I knew,
Right.
and there was a queue of them waiting, available. And as women, we don't talk about this. We really don't. And I always like to talk about it because I think it's important to know that you have to fight these impulses.
Yes.
And I was like, is it such a big deal? Is it really such a big deal? I could just, once, twice, three times.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it would just, and I just was like, yeah, apparently it's a really big deal because I'm not doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah.
So
But I can
when
tell
you're
you what I did do.
yeah. So when you're overcoming that, I mean, so you see that how long has it been since this all happened?
20 odd years.
20 odd years, and you think you just started coming out of the healing.
Yeah. I think I only got
Wow.
space and time to heal myself probably in the last 4 or 5 years. I think, if I'm honest,
Wow.
I hadn't really clocked that I had not, because you're here, right? And you're like,
Yeah.
and it's my job to speak like this and talk about it. And I just, I don't know. I don't, if I'm absolutely honest, I don't know. I think maybe the last few years.
Wow. Wow. So what role did your body and your health play in the way you navigated that rebuilding process?
Wow. Like everything, right?
Yeah.
But you don't learn this till you screw up. So I had, I was doing, like, I would get up in the morning, walk the kids to school, and then I'd be home by 8:30, and I'd work till 4 o'clock, and then I'd go pick up the kids, come back. I had paid somebody who would come in and cook and do all these things. And then I put the kids to bed at 6. And then at 7:30, I started work in the second job. And then I did that till 12 o'clock. And then I started again the next day. And I did that kind of every day. And it was a really, I don't know that, God, I'm sorry, I'm thinking, and I've forgotten what your question was, because I went down that road and my brain was like,
That's okay.
oh,
So what role did your body and your health
My body,
play in
yeah.
the way you
So
navigated that rebuilding process?
So I got sick, and I was running a health and wellness, Nosh Detox. I was running the precursor to Nosh because my son had been so ill, and he was anaphylactic and asthma and eczema. So I had made him well, and I'd cured his eczema. And I'd written a book about it. I talked about this. I was, and I was just like, okay, so this is what we're doing. And I tested a supplement, and I feel like it was MSM, and I don't remember what it was. And my body reacted so badly to it. And because I didn't drink and I didn't smoke and I didn't do any of those things. And I was violently ill. I had diarrhea, I was throwing up, and I was like in bed for a day and a half, 2 days. And at the end of 2 days, the woman who I'd gotten to pick up the kids was like, I think you need to go to hospital. You're like starting to, sink. And I was like, oh. So she called an ambulance and took me to the hospital. And this nurse and I'm terrified of needles. And this nurse was like, what? She said, I'm going to get, and I'm heaving with sobs. And she's putting a drip. And I'm like, I have to go. She goes, where are you going? I said, I have to pick up the kids from school. I'm a single parent. There's no help. So she looked me straight in the face and she goes, okay, tell me this. When you die, who's going to look after your kids?
Wow. Oh, that gives me goosebumps. Holy cow.
And I kind of stopped dead and thought, I was thinking, holy shit, it's my mother who I can't, or it's my ex, which is even more I can't. Right. So I was like, oh, it's me. And I promise you that I walked out from there and I had the majority of the money that I have spent from that day to this is keeping myself physically, emotionally, and mentally healthy.
Yes.
It's stable because my body is the core premise on which I operate. It is the linchpin of everything that I do. Yes. And I treat it with immense respect. I'm intensely careful. And I do everything. If you went through my bank account, I spend more money on making myself fit and healthy than I do on anything else in my world, including the food that I eat.
Yeah. Well, the food that I eat is actually where I spend all of my money. So to keep me healthy.
Right.
So you're listening to the Larson Health Podcast. This episode is brought to you by LarsonHealthWeightLoss.com, your home for anti-inflammatory recipes, mindset tools, and whole body healing. So Geeta, tell us about how Nosh Detox came to your life. Like, what inspired you to start a health food company in the middle of such personal crisis?
Well, because I needed to make money, right? And I couldn't go to work. So there I am thinking, how do you make money at home? My father he was a farmer. He worked for himself. So I'm like, I can set up a business. But what I was doing was corporate negotiating, which is because people would just pay me. People would pay me a fortune. Like I remember seeing The Pursuit of Happiness, and I was like, I am that man. Like I would just work flat out all the time. But with what I did, I would charge people to fly somewhere to fix a problem and then fly back home. And I charged them more the less time it took. So if it took 1 day, it was 10,000. If it took 2 days, it went down. The fee went down to 9, 8, 7. So because I wanted to get home to the kids because I have this sick child who's in and out of hospital as fast as I can. So I did that, and I was like, I can't keep doing this. I have to find a way to stay at home and make money. And I was like, I'll set up a company. I don't know what to do. And I was like, the only thing I know how to do is health and wellness because of my son. And when you come out of a profession, it's kind of what your job is. You're not used to it. Right?
Changing career.
So I didn't have any money, obviously. And so I found a letter that said the bank gave me a £2,000 overdraft. And I took this letter to the bank and I said, can I have this overdraft? And this man, his name was David, I'll never forget him. He went, no. I was like, no, I need this overdraft. He goes, yeah, that's an old letter. I'm afraid we can't give you that. And I'm like, David, sit here. Let's talk. This happened, then this happened, then this happened, and oh my God, and a poor man wanted to just die. And he was like, okay, Geeta, stop talking. I will give it to you if your business plan makes sense. I was like, what would
Okay.
that? I had no idea what a business plan was
Okay.
like
Okay.
17 years ago. Like
Yeah.
I'm an M&A lawyer. What do I know about business plans? And so he was like, yeah, I mean, you know, so I was like, okay, so he said, no, not in my office. Go and sit out there and write a business plan and come back. I'm like, what the hell do you do? He said, it's got to have this information on it. I was like, okay. So I went and sat and I drafted this business plan and I put numbers in and made that
Did
shit
you have
up.
the internet at the time?
No,
Okay.
barely
Yeah,
mobile phones at that stage. It was
yeah.
2007. Did we have the internet? 2007. I don't know.
Yes. 2007 we did.
We did? Yeah, but not on your phone in the bank.
Right. No.
Not
It
like
wasn't
we
that easy.
Yeah, there wasn't the search engine and the, oh my God, none of that stuff. So like now if someone asks you for a business plan, I'm pulling up the AI that makes business plans, putting a freaking concept in it.
Right.
In 2 minutes.
Bam, it's done. A
Right?
little tweaking, but here and there. But yeah,
Yeah,
done.
and I'm super techie, so I'm super happy with that. So there, and I went back to him and he just looked at me and I had this memory of him going, and he looked at this, and then he looked at me, and he looked at this, because you're just not going to go away, are you? I'm like, no, but I'm
I
really
need
nice.
this. Yeah.
Get used to me. And he was just like, God bless him, and he just signed it off and he said, don't make me regret this. I'm like, not a hope in hell. I spent that over the next 6 weeks, and I spent £1,987, and we opened that day.
What did you invest in? Did you buy a footprint?
I remember doing this for a magazine, so I remembered I had to break this down. We invested in packaging. We invested in like a computer. We invested in somebody to come in and to run the stuff. I paid for a chef for a few months, because he was like, I'm not leaving my job unless you pay for this many months. And I was like, right. And then I invested in like these cooler bags, because we were doing home delivery of food. But we didn't have anyone to deliver it. And 3 days before we were going to open, because we had to open on the 6th, because that's when the money ran out.
Yeah.
I found a guy delivering pizza. I'm like, hi, would you like to? And he went, yeah. And I was up at 4 a.m. waiting for him to come. And he came, and he worked for us for the next 3.5 years.
Wow. That gives me goosebumps. That's fabulous. You put it all together on 2,000 pounds.
Well, we had no choice, right?
Right. But you did it. That's amazing. Yeah. So how did nutrition and wellness become your healing tools, not just for your clients, but for yourself?
I worked out when I was looking at my son. I didn't think about this till I was trying to cure my son's eczema, that everything my son put in his mouth affected not just his body, but also his mind. So I would make speeches at the time going, look, this makes a big difference. And I'd pull a bottle of Coca-Cola up and put it on the dais when you're talking. And I'd be like, this thing affects how you think as well as how you feel and what your body does. And people would be like, no, it doesn't. I was like, really? Okay, hands up who thinks it does, hands up who doesn't. 2 people would put their hand up and go, yeah. So I'd be like, hold a moment. And then I'll pull a bottle of vodka and put it on top of the dais. And I'm like, so does this affect how you think and feel and function? They're like, yeah. And I'm like, you know? So we came from there. And then I'm a lawyer. I am used to reading extremely boring information.
Yeah.
Very fast and pulling out a conclusion as quickly as possible. I researched the heck out of it. I researched everything. We created innovative programs. We just changed the face of health and wellness in the United Kingdom over the next 15 years. We innovated all the time. We brought cold pressed juices to the supermarket, had huge fights with Innocent and Coca-Cola. They came to see me because my office was always in my home, and they had to take off their shoes to come into my house. It was hysterically funny because they're in their suits and their shoes are off and they're holding my juices and we're talking. And I was like, yeah, I have nothing to lose. I need to make enough money out of this business to send 3 kids to private school, pay for my we're and so I went hell for leather, basically.
Did they buy it?
My company, no, because I didn't want to sell my company, but they stopped suing me because they wanted to stop me doing what I was doing. And then they stopped, and then they joined the game, and then they would pay consulting contracts to help them with whatever. I'm like, sure, as long as you want to pay me, I'll do whatever, really.
Yeah.
And so that became, and then we had people come in. I worked with 21,000 men and women over that period of time.
Wow.
And one time a woman came in and she was like, oh, I want to do this. And she was very terrifying. This American, tiny, petite, blonde, freeze-dried type, that look immaculate. You've taken them out of the fridge in the morning. You know the one, right?
Yes.
Scary as shit. And she was like, I want to do a juice fest. And she's looking around my home, like, this is in your home. And I was like, well, why do you want it? She said, because of this. And I said, I'm not going to sell you a juice fast because you're too skinny. And she went, I'm sorry, do you know who I am? And I'm like, no, really not. But that's okay. We'll just, and so she was so annoyed. She walked out on me, and I was the only company making juices at the time. And so
who was she?
Well, I'm not going to do that because I just talked about how bad. She came back 3 days later and she said, I want to hire you to do that. And I said, do what? She goes, tell me how stupid I am. I was like, I am not telling you you're stupid. Oh. And I said, okay, how much are you going to pay me? And she was like, oh, I'll pay you 250 quid an hour. I was like, hooray, come back every day. And she became my client. And then it turned out that I was coaching. Who knew? And so she came in, and then I ended up with a list of clients like Gwyneth Paltrow, Simon Cowell, 2 of the Spice Girls, Jessica Rothschild, Nadia Swarovski, Grinda Chadda, who made Bend It Like Beckham,
cool.
Family, and so then the coaching kind of, really, really helped, because then when we hit things like COVID and the health and wellness business took a real beating.
You could do it all remotely.
We did it remotely, and we did coaching.
Yeah.
So it evolved from a delivery service to online.
Wow. That's amazing. So you were just doing delivery though, right within your area, right? You weren't shipping to
I was doing it. Okay. No, we grew really fast. We doubled in growth every 6 months in the beginning, and then we doubled in growth every year. So we were delivering to Texas.
Really? So how would you do that? You do dry pack and free?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing.
Because nobody did what we did, right?
Yeah.
We were the only people doing it. So everybody was like, we don't care how much it is. And then where we couldn't deliver, like we had clients in the Hamptons and things, I would find them a local chef, and I'd be like, let me train you in what we're doing. And then I'd make sure that you had the chef. If you were on a yacht, we would speak to the chef on the yacht, and we would say, here's what we want you to make. Here are the recipes. Here's the stuff. And that after a while, the guy's going to be trained, so they're not going to pay you, but they paid me for the coaching. Right. And so then that's how we did it. Yeah.
Wow. So you became a certified raw chef, health coach, nutrition specialist in just a few years. So
I did, oh God, like the health coaching. I used to do it at 5 a.m.
Wow.
I trained myself to wake up and do a half-hour class before I walked out of my bedroom.
Yeah.
Because otherwise I was never going to get that qualification.
So what drove that hunger for that knowledge for a nutrition specialist, a raw chef, a health coach? I mean, you did it all within a few years. What drove that?
It was a combination of things. I laugh when I say it's money, but it wasn't. These amazing women were coming in the door because we were not cheap. So all the women that came in were professionals and, really good at and they were so unhappy. This, like when women are trying to lose weight and they were so unhappy, and it hurt me and it broke my heart. And I was just like, how can I help you to feel better? What can I do that makes you see yourself in a different way and to eat differently? And so I would do the research, and I'm like, and we were the first people. I invented the term stress fat. I own the trademark of it because it didn't exist. Because doctors would tell you that you ate too much, and you've kept a diary for 3 years eating 800 calories a day, and this idiot is telling you it's because you eat too much.
Because they have no nutrition training at all.
Yeah, and they don't respect women's health. No. And so I was like, no. And I've had videos go viral on TikTok with people abusing me because they're like, oh, you don't understand energetics. It's energy in, energy out. No, it's not. Women's bodies are different to men's. And so I just would research. I would research. If there was a qualification to take, I would take it. I mean, I wasn't doing anything else at 5 a.m. It's not like I had a private life. So what the hell?
Yeah, and you can do it at 5 a.m. The kids aren't up yet, right? So are the kids out of the house now?
Yes, okay. More or less, unless they need money.
Right, of course, right. Mom. So what are some common misconceptions people have about food, healing, and detoxing?
They think it's, and this is very American driven. They think, and I say this because a lot of my clients are American, like 50-60% of my coaching clients are American. The people think, number one, that detoxing and stuff like that is a medical issue. And so they go to doctors to get a doctor's opinion on this. And I have to say that you should stop doing that, because doctors do not know it. Like in this country, you get 4 hours of nutritional training across a doctor's 3 years of medical training, and you get 0 for menopause and perimenopause because it's an elective.
Right.
So I'm sure the US is no better at all, because it's so misogynistic on so many, you know what I mean? Yeah. So number one, I think that, you know, you need to understand this is not a medical thing. So if you're going for help, it should be to people like you and me, not to the doctor, actually, because it's not a medical problem. Number two, I think that you need to understand that everything that you put in your mouth is going to affect everything that you are. Everything. Yes. Right? Number three, if you can't identify and recognize the thing, do not put it in your mouth. Right? Do not. Right? If it comes in a funky, I've never seen an apple. And then people will tell me fruit's bad for you, and they're eating a bar that has sat on a shelf for 2 years. And I'm like, in comparison to what?
Yeah.
Really?
Go figure. Yeah.
Fruit has so much sugar. Oh, really? Whereas that thing that you're eating, ate high fructose corn syrup, like this. Oh, annoying.
Yeah, highly processed. Yeah.
So it's eat whole, raw, fresh foods. Right. And and in America, I know how much harder this is than the rest of the world.
Yeah.
But it's really, really important. Find your sources of food and, you know, really double down on as much as you possibly can of eating fresh. And it is cheaper, actually, to eat fresh. And
I've heard Dr. Gabrielle Lyons talk about she never eats anything raw because of worms. So apparently when you eat everything raw, there's worms in it. So she will only eat things that are cooked. Now this woman is, you know, she's a doctor. She is ripped. Now I obviously eat stuff raw, but a lot of it I do cook. But I still, all my vegetables are raw, right? So I occasionally I cook them, but.
I mean, I'm happy for her, and maybe that works for her, you know, and that's great. But I trained as a raw chef, and I ate raw food for 4.5 years, 5 years. I mean, is she saying that these are invisible worms, or are we able to see them? I'm not clear.
They're in your body, yeah. So there will be some things going on in your body that you'll know that you have them. She said 90% of the world has them.
Because I mean, we're talking about parasites in general, you know, but then we have cancer. Everyone has it as well.
Right, exactly.
You know, so these kinds I don't like scaremongering like this. I think that you should. And you know, the other really interesting thing is that when you eat what you were brought up eating, it behaves differently in your body. It's really funny. I will struggle, for example, to maybe eat a loaf of bread, but because I grew up with Indian food, if I have a chapati, which is round and made, and it's the same flour, that will not hurt my gut.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's
It's interesting how that is. Yeah. And especially the flour that's in Europe is different than the flour that's in the United States, because we have genetically modified wheat, and we have all kinds of pesticides and herbicides that are all put on these.
Yeah.
And it's causing so much disease, right? I mean, and then people are buying, you know, SpaghettiOs in a can. They're buying all this processed food. I keep talking about this one guy that I know that follows me on Facebook, and he just thinks it's, you know, getting soda delivered, cases of soda delivered, and cases of SpaghettiOs and raviolis delivered, I'm like, you're going to be so disease ridden. So just give it time if you're not there already.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking, because you look at this and you think, but he's just buying what he's been sold.
Yeah, exactly. Right? And he's so thrilled when he gets a sale on it. I'm like, oh my God. You know, but it's cheaper for people to buy food like that than it is to buy whole, nutritious food. Like, we spend a lot of money buying grass-fed butter, grass-fed, you know, meats, and organic vegetables. You know, I mean, it just costs a lot more. When we were growing up, you didn't have to have organic because everything was.
Exactly. But there is a middle ground between the SpaghettiO man and you, right?
Yes.
And the middle ground between SpaghettiO man and you is that if you buy, you know, like dried bags of lentils and pulses and beans and stuff like that, and flour,
really affordable,
and canned tomatoes, but fine, needs must. And then, literally locally somewhere buy some fruit and veg. I because we had newspapers which would attack us going, you're so expensive. And we're like, listen, we could make this food for you we were talking about, like, I think it was like £25 for the week to feed a family of 4. Wow. And they were like, that's impossible. And I'm like, actually, it just isn't. You'd be vegetarian. But if I got lentils and beans and all this stuff, you need a cup of rice and a cup of beans, and it will feed 4 people.
Perfect proteins.
Without, exactly. You've literally, well done. You've got the whole amino acid chain there.
Yes.
And you feed a family of 4. Finished. Full. It's good for them. It's full. It's that meal, once you've broken down how much, the big bag, that meal is going to cost you like £2.50.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, I remember, in college, that's what I used to do, right?
Yeah.
Because I was trying to pay for college. I had an academic scholarship my first 2 years, but after that, I paid my own way. So I was working, and trying to eat affordably. So it was beans and rice.
You survived, you were healthy, you were well. And I'm like, if you take beans and rice and then buy a head of lettuce, which, by the way, let me tell you, is going to last you 5 days because you can't eat that much lettuce.
Right.
Happiness.
Yes, exactly.
Shove a banana down your face every day, shove an orange down your face every other day. We're good.
Yeah. And I love tomatoes, so I was having tomatoes as well. Yeah. All right.
It's so much easier than we think.
It is. It really is.
Yeah.
So we're talking with Geeta Sidhu-Robb on the Larson Health podcast. To explore health tools that work for your lifestyle, visit larsonhealthweightloss.com. So many of our listeners feel stuck, like it's too late to change or too hard to start over. So what would you say to them?
Yeah, I don't agree. I think that if you think like that, there's probably a combination of emotions under there, right? So the first thing I would say is that you're afraid to fail. The second thing is we're afraid to lift ourselves out of our existing circle. Like, I had a woman who I was coaching, and she came to me and at a certain point she said, listen, I've paid you, but I'm not coming back. And I'm like, why is that? She said, because you're making me so healthy, I'm going to have to give up smoking. But the only thing my husband and I have in common is when we smoke together.
Really?
I promise you, I'm not even making this up.
Wow.
So you don't want to just get him to stop smoking? Oh, he'll never do that. I was like, okay. So she left, and I looked at that and I was like, wow.
That's unbelievable. You're making me so healthy that I have to quit because my husband, the only thing we have in common is smoking. I would leave that relationship if that was the only thing we had in common.
Right? So when you're stuck, it's a problem of wanting to stay with the people that you know more than you want to be well.
Yeah.
Number one. Number two is the fear of failing. Number three is the fear of success.
People, I had another guest on, and she's talked about the fear of success. How many people are so fearful of success? Yes. What do you know about that?
Well, a lot, because I work with highly successful people. But the standard thing is that story where you win a lottery ticket, and what is it, 2.5 years later, you're back down to the money you had in the first place. Right? Because your body couldn't receive more than what it already thought it was due. So the thing about I remember that my concept of success was so much higher than anyone else's. So I never had to fear it, because I was just like, no, because this is where I'm meant to be. Therefore, I insist on getting back there. But then when I got there, I wouldn't go any better. And I remember being stuck there thinking, what on earth is going on here? And I hadn't readjusted my internal parameters to enable 2 things. One, you want to enable more success, right? Just push to whatever the limit, constantly change your definition of success. Push to whatever your nearest limit is. I want to earn £1,000 a month. Okay. Because there's no point going from here to I want to earn 10 million a month. You're not going to do it. I want to earn £1,000 a month. Great. Then you feel yourself and you're like 3. I want to earn 3,000 a month. So you need to gently, like every couple of weeks, shift your definition of success. Number 2, you want to redefine what success means. We are constantly hamstrung by the fact that definitions of success are very masculine. So we go for very goals and external based things. And I always teach people, and as I said, I've coached the most famous people in the world. I coach them into the first step is a success.
Yeah.
Your success is not when you get to wherever you think you need to go. Your idea of success is I got up today and I did this. That's a success.
That's a success.
redefine success for you, not anybody else's definition of success. And then when you can do that, it's, I had long COVID in 22 or 23.
Okay.
And before that, I did CrossFit 4 times a week. And then I did yoga. And then I ate really well. And I did, va va voom. I was on TV twice a week, all this stuff. I got COVID 7 times in 1 year.
Wow.
And the recovery from it was 2 to 3 weeks each time. And then I went into perimenopause at the same time. Well, I didn't know this, but I went into perimenopause at the same time.
Yeah.
So I remember making a speech to 300 people and I forgot the last words that came out of my mouth. I had no idea what I had just said.
Wow.
I gave up doing TV for a while because I was like, I can't cope with this. If I do this on TV, it'd be terrible. And it was so difficult. And I couldn't walk up the stairs. We live in these townhouses. I couldn't walk up the stairs without panting, 1 flight of stairs.
And you were working out?
I didn't work out that year.
Every
time I worked out, I got sick again. So I stopped everything. I gained weight. My body changed completely. My face changed. Everything about me changed. And I was just like,
what's happening?
And I had to build myself from one step. I only was able to start weightlifting this year.
Okay.
This year. It's taken me 2.5 years to be able to lift weights again.
Wow.
It took me till the end of last year to be able to walk up hills. I couldn't breathe. So it has been a really interesting exercise. And it was so interesting being in the place of my clients.
And especially because you're doing this healing business. You're an entrepreneur. Maybe you're working out too much, you're exhausting yourself because you're working so much and you're working out too hard.
Through the roof.
And a woman's body can't handle all of that. Especially when you need to listen to your cycles, like you're going through, you hit perimenopause, not knowing it, but you're going through your cycles still, and you need to honor those cycles and work out according to that. I'm actually a certified functional nutritionist as well as a fasting coach from Dr. Mindy Pelz. And so we learned all about honoring your periods and your cycles so that you know how to treat your body when you're going through the cycle.
Yeah, completely. And I mean, none of that knowledge was kind of available. And then when I came out and I couldn't really walk and I couldn't do anything and I was in perimenopause, so I wasn't having periods. So I didn't know what my cycle was doing anymore. And I gained, all the stress fat around my stomach and my upper thighs. And I was just like, holy shit. And your whole wardrobe just disappears. Like you can't wear it.
Yeah. Right.
Before that, I was like this skinny kind of thing. And it's really interesting. Like I'm still at a place today where I kind of am I'm down to like almost my normal size, but I'm very differently distributed. Like I'm lush. I have boobs and a butt that like I did not have before. I'm like, oh my God. Like I'm looking at all the clothes I used to wear. I'm like, it doesn't matter. I can't wear you now because like I just had no boobs. And now suddenly I do. It's the funniest thing. You just have to be who you are today.
Yes.
And if my idea with success was that I had to be that size and I had to look like that, I would be constantly miserable and unhappy.
Yes. And that is miserable. So lifting weights is definitely so important for us post-menopause, right? So it's essential for our bone health, for our brain health, for our overall body. So I'm glad to hear that you're lifting now.
We were working to it.
Yeah. And just keep on going, right? Consistency is the key and you're going to see everything change. I don't know if your boobs will go away. That happens frequently for women when they go into menopause, or boobs get bigger. So
no, I heard that. I'm like, well, I guess I'm keeping them.
Yeah. Exactly.
Nobody else is complaining. It's just a bit of a shock to the system. I'm like quietly going through my wardrobe, dumping stuff. But I then added cardio like 2 months ago because I couldn't do cardio because I couldn't breathe. So I added cardio and
And just don't overdo it.
No, I'm very careful. I have rest days built in because I did overdo it, of course, because I'm that personality. Yeah. And then I ended up not well, and I was like, no, we're not going back there. So I reject the whole thing.
So you went from a lawyer to an entrepreneur to healer. So what mindset shifts helped you embrace such, radical change?
I have this saying that I've stuck with all this time, and it's change is inevitable, but suffering is optional. And I'm a good old fashioned Cancerian. I hate change. I really hate change. I'm just like,
Okay.
can I hide in my shell and don't? And I learned to embrace change and pivot instantly. So now something will happen. I'll be like, oh my God, that's just okay. And then I move past things very fast, very,
Okay.
very fast. And that's the one skill that I had to learn painfully, and I taught myself. And I move past stuff all the time. I'll be like, hey, da-da-da-da. No, no, gotcha, bye. But I'm still bloody minded as ever. So that's not gone away.
That's good. So
Yeah.
what daily practices keep you grounded and empowered today? Like when you wake up in the morning, what does your day look like?
I mean, I am really careful that I give myself a lot of mental space, because I used to think that I needed physical space when I lived with the kids. And I worked out that actually that's okay, but I really need mental space. And if I don't have mental space, I really struggle to refuel myself. And then I do that. Then the other thing that I was saying, I don't think I'd worked on, healed very well, is I had stopped playing.
Playing.
Yeah, I had stopped playing. I just stopped having
Having
fun.
fun.
Yeah. And so like this weekend I went and I stayed with some friends, and we were, sorry, it's frozen. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. So and they were like, we're having a wild party in the south of France, Saint-Tropez this weekend. You want to come? I'm like, oh, hell yes. So I went and, had the best time, and they were helicopters and yachts and stuff. And I just had the best time.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm trying to build in all of the things, because otherwise I have a tendency to get too serious.
Yeah. Yeah. And you get in the weeds and you can't pull yourself out.
Yeah. And then don't you find that you end up, especially when you're a mother, you kind of just work all the time and you work too hard. And I'm single, so I live alone. So I'm just like, oh, well, I may as well work, and I'm kind of like, no, 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 this is not who I want to be. So I'm very careful to constantly shift like a kaleidoscope. I'm constantly shifting my arena so I can see where I am and if I need to tweak something or make it better. And then I find a way to make that work. So I'm really gung-ho on my diet. My diet is like 1% in the world. It's the best I can possibly manage.
Yeah.
I'm very gung-ho in my supplementation and keeping that going. I have an exercise regime completely worked out that I constantly work on and adapt. And like I keep my hormones sorted out, and then I add now I give myself, you know what it is? I give myself 3 months. I take 3 months and I drill into one thing.
Okay.
And then I nail that one thing. And I'm like, got it. And then I go to the next 3 months and I'm like, right, this time I want to work on this. And then I drill into that thing, I nail that thing, and then I go on to the next thing.
And how's that working for you?
Beautifully.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I've done that a lot. I mean, like I was trying to get my lungs better and I couldn't. And I have a friend who's a very famous American biohacker, and I rang him and I'm like, I don't know how to do this. And he's like, here, do this. And I was like, thank you. So 3 months, my lung function it was at 92% after COVID, and it went straight back up to 98 after I had done that. So,
Excellent.
Do one thing.
Yeah.
And just do it really well. Then do the next thing. And we think we don't have time, right? But once you get past a certain age, you're like, you have time.
You have time. Yes. So how can someone, yeah, right. So how can someone begin to reclaim control over their health when they're feeling completely overwhelmed?
I honestly think that this is a very easy place to start. I think that the one thing that you should do is you should start to eat 2 pieces of fruit a day. I know it sounds really stupid, but go out and buy, nature hides vitamins and minerals in the color of the food that we eat. So I remember writing like a course about this, but the best would be 3 pieces of fruit a day, but eat 3 pieces of fruit a day and eat a different color every other day. So you kind of go between 6 colors of fruit and do that every day. Don't do anything else. Just do that. Eat an apple in the morning, eat a banana at lunchtime, eat an orange at night. The next day, wake up and eat blueberries, raspberries, blackberries. You're sorted. Well, maybe blueberries and blackberries, pick another one. And just do that. And if you did that for a month and did nothing else, but did that for a month, well, if you could go for a 20-minute walk every day, I would be very happy too. But those things would change your life as you know it. And, we're always looking for something funky. Don't do funky, do basic.
Yeah, just do basic. Exactly. Yeah. And I teach about like fasting, just do intermittent fasting, right? Give your body some rest. Don't be eating constantly, eating 6 snacks a day and then
It's because they're
eating
not getting
more.
nutrients, so they're starving the whole time, right?
Yeah. Yeah, if they were eating actually like avocado and some berries and some yogurt or some cottage cheese, they would be full from the healthy fat. They would have their berries, their fruit. They would, have their probiotics in their body. They would have the prebiotics from the fruit. They would have the probiotics from the. We do kefir every morning.
Yes. Yeah.
Um,
I
and
have
then
kefir every day.
yeah, it's just really good.
I put almond butter in it, and I put, whatever, and bananas and something, and I'll eat that.
Yeah, that's really good.
But sometimes we worry about the words. Like if we're not experts at this, like you and I are, it's kind of what we do. Then you worry: is it a probiotic? Is it a this? Don't worry about any of that. Just
Eat good
fruit.
food in your body. Yeah,
Yeah,
just eat good
just
food.
eat fruit, eat yogurt, go for a walk every day. Your life will completely change.
Yes,
And
I
then
agree.
when that hits your brain, then your brain will start to kick in. Then you
Yeah,
can make bigger changes. But don't do those in the beginning.
I agree. So this segment is brought to you by LarsonHealthWeightLoss.com, where we offer whole body wellness programs to support your journey from the inside out. So what does living a healthy, powerful life look like for you now?
Like this.
And you're beautiful.
Well, I have been so focused on being very, very, very powerful, and now I'm one of the most powerful women that I know. I'm one of the most powerful people that I know. And I know a lot of very powerful people, and I really like that about myself. I have committed to that as an aim. And it sounds like a funny thing for a woman to say, because I don't know what we're meant to do, smile or some shit like that. But I'm very focused on the ability to stay in my power and host it. And it makes you more humble. It makes you quieter. It makes you more effective and more focused. And so for me, that is an overwhelming concept every day. I have been powerless, helpless, and hungry, and I am the exact opposite. So it means that I get to do what I want to do, when I want to do it, how I want to do it. And it means that I'm much, much more focused on doing things that change the world. I'm really impact focused. I'm like, how can I change every woman's life in the world? How can I do that?
Yeah.
And that's what I care about.
And that's what I care about too. That's why I'm doing this podcast. That's why I have LarsonHealthWeightLoss.com, is to try to help women transition into a better, healthier life.
Absolutely.
So what's next for you? And can our listeners connect with you and your work?
Yeah, please. I would love that. So what I did last year was I set up an organization. Do you know B Corp? It's a sustainability certification in the US. Have you heard of
Yes.
it? Right. So I set up. My daughter got fired because she has endometriosis, and she got fired because she couldn't come to work because she had a bad period, and
Okay.
so she got from her cafe job at the university. And it kind of blew my mind up and sent me down this track. So what I did was last year I set up an organization called W Corp. And what we do is we walk into organizations and we certify them as having the infrastructure that enables women to bring their biology to work. So it's not DEI, it's nothing like that. I'm not interested in, and it actually isn't even very expensive, but we will talk to you, and the conversation's like an hour, and we'll see how you've got your business set up, and we'll help you see if there's something we can help you change. And if your business is set up so that women can bring their biology to work and still work for you, we will certify you, and we'll give you a stamp for W Corp certification. And we have done this. We set it up last year. We're on 6 continents, and we certified 57 odd businesses. And so please go to wcorporation.org, find out more. And I think we should certify LarsonWeightLoss.com, because you're a chick and you're a good chick.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, and so it's a place that says we believe in providing environments so that women can come to work when they're having a period, when they're having a baby, when they're looking at the elderly parents. Think about it this way: if you have a man's washroom and a woman's washroom, they have completely different utilities, and they're under the same roof, and nobody cares.
Yeah.
What if we create workplaces that are good for men and good for women?
Yeah.
And they're under the same roof, and no one cares. It's such a simple idea. That's all we want.
And that's all it is. Yeah.
And so we want to do that. So, and I want to certify these businesses as doing that, because I think it's really, really important that women stand up and go, you know what? Not only do we matter, but how our bodies function matter, which is why women don't have babies anymore, because it's the womb versus the work.
Right.
And don't don't do that, because they're choosing work, not babies.
Right.
You know?
Right. But
So
it's
it's
men
really,
too. It's men and women, right? So it's not just the women, but
yeah,
you're right.
absolutely.
They're choosing work over children, and I'm worried
Well,
about
they
the
have
future.
a choice. Who wants to be poor? I've been poor with children. It sucks.
It does. It does. That's true. Yeah, and people fear that, right? If there's been so much divorce, people see it and they're like, is it going to be me? Right?
And look, you said that, right? You said the information we have available now.
Yeah.
We can see this. So why would we choose it? Whereas
Yeah.
if you're an organization that's WCO certified, we know that we did the fighting for you. And you
Yeah.
as a woman can come to this organization and you don't have to fight. We've done it for you.
I think that's a wonderful mission. So, and what is the book that you wrote?
Oh, that book was on food. It was very long. Now I've got a book coming out on. It's called Undismissible: The Secrets of a Powerful Woman, but I haven't got there yet. It's in editing
Okay.
phase, and I may never survive it. But I'll reach out when it's there. But hopefully
We'll
we'll have
look
you
for it. You're
satisfied.
going to finish it.
No, no, I will. I will. I have a deadline.
Okay, good. Well, Geeta, thank you for sharing your story with such vulnerability and fire. Your journey from rock bottom to radiant health is a reminder that no matter where we are, healing and reinvention are possible. To our listeners, if you're in a place of transition or challenge, let Geeta's story remind you, you don't have to have it all figured out. You just have to take the next brave step. Whether it's reclaiming your health, shifting your mindset, or starting somewhere new, it starts now. For more inspiration and health tools, visit larsonhealthweightloss.com. And don't forget to check out Geeta's work with Nosh Detox. You'll find links to the show notes and the show notes to Geeta. And until next time, honor your story, nourish your body, and rise with purpose. Thanks, Geeta.
Thank you.